Have you ever noticed how the weight of someone's disrespect can feel heavier than any burden you willingly choose to carry? Have you ever wondered why? Even a small act of disrespect, a careless word, a dismissive glance, or a mocking interruption can stay with you longer than a genuine compliment? And what if I told you, just pause, that learning how to respond to disrespectful people could become one of the most powerful demonstrations of Stoic strength you will ever embody? Let's get real for a moment. You and I both know that some people seem to thrive on testing the edges of your boundaries. They interrupt you mid-sentence, toss out passive-aggressive comments, or treat your time and feelings as if they are optional, disposable, like they hold no weight at all. Society often tells us to simply smile politely, to let it pass, to keep the peace. But not today. If you are tired of carrying the quiet ache of being disrespected, if you are ready to step into a more grounded way of being, this conversation is for you. What we are about to explore may sound brutally honest, perhaps even a little controversial, but that is the essence of Stoicism. Facing life as it is, without denial, without sugarcoating, without shrinking away from reality. Seneca once wrote, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste a lot of it." To waste your time tolerating disrespect is to waste your life. So today, I will walk with you through 5 powerful ways to handle disrespect, not with aggression, not with bitterness, but with calm dignity and unwavering self-respect. By the time we finish, you will carry with you every tool you need to show others and yourself exactly where the line must be drawn. So let us begin with the first tool, one that is deceptively simple yet profoundly disarming: the silent stare. Now you might be thinking, really? Just staring? But trust me, this is no small gesture. Marcus Aurelius, in his Meditations, reminded himself that the best revenge is not to be like your enemy. And sometimes not being like them means refusing to be dragged into the drama they crave. When someone speaks with rudeness, when they try to bait you into stumbling or snapping back, nothing unsettles them more than the calm, unbothered silence of your gaze. You see, those who disrespect others are almost always seeking a reaction. They want you to stumble over your words, to feel flustered, to shrink, or to fire back with anger. They want to prove, even if only to themselves, that they can control your emotions. But when you simply look at them, no blinking, no frown, no smile, just look, with steady composure, the entire power dynamic shifts. Suddenly, they no longer hold the strings. You do. At first glance, this may seem passive-aggressive, but think carefully. What could be more assertive, more rooted in your own dignity, than refusing to supply the very fuel they demand? Epictetus taught, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." In that quiet stare, you are making a choice to react with nothing, to remind both them and yourself that you will not dance to anyone else's tune. Let me share a moment when this simple technique worked like quiet magic. I was once seated in a meeting where a man insisted on cutting me off, again and again, as though he were on a mission to dominate the room. You know the type: loud, overconfident, convinced the world exists to amplify his own voice. At first I tried to interject politely, to reclaim my words, but he refused to stop. So finally, I stopped trying. I leaned back, folded my arms, and simply met his eyes. No words, No forced smile, no anger, just 5 calm, unwavering seconds of silence. You could feel the tension grow heavier in the air. Others at the table shifted uncomfortably, turning their eyes toward him. And then the shift happened. His confidence faltered. His words stumbled. His gaze dropped. For the remainder of the meeting, he did not interrupt me once, and in the weeks that followed, he treated me with a respect that had been absent before. That silent stare did what words never could have. It showed him that I was not someone he could bulldoze. And more importantly, it reminded me of something far greater, that I did not need to justify myself, that I did not need to match his aggression with my own, that I could reclaim my peace with nothing more than stillness. Here's why this works on a deeper level. When you hold the silent stare, you are offering them a mirror. People who disrespect others often act without awareness. Without accountability, they have rarely been forced to confront the image of their own behavior. But when you stand calm and unshaken, you force them to see themselves, and most people do not like what they see. And this, my friend, is not only about controlling the moment, it is about strengthening your own soul. When you look into someone's eyes and refuse to yield to their provocation, you remind yourself of your own worth. You are saying, "Your disrespect cannot touch me. Your words cannot define me. I am more than this moment." Marcus Aurelius counseled himself, "If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it. By choosing silence, by refusing to estimate their behavior as worthy of your reaction, you protect yourself from unnecessary pain." I used to be someone who nervously laughed off rude remarks, who scrambled to explain myself when someone questioned my choices. And each time I did, I felt my energy drain away, as though I were handing them little pieces of my own dignity. But when I learned to simply look, to let silence fill the room instead of explanations, everything changed. That small act of defiance became a powerful declaration of self-respect. So here is my quiet challenge to you. The next time someone crosses your line, do not rush to defend yourself. Do not rush to explain. Just pause, just breathe, and hold their gaze. Let them feel the weight of your calm. Let them wrestle with their own discomfort, because in that moment, you are speaking louder than any words ever could. And remember, this is not aggression. This is not coldness. This is the Stoic path of restraint, of measured response, of clarity. As Epictetus advised, any person capable of angering you becomes your master. He can anger you only when you permit yourself to be disturbed by him. By choosing the silent stare, you refuse to grant them mastery over you. You stand instead as the master of yourself. And so, as we move forward into the second way to handle disrespect, the silent stare is not about them. It is about you. It is about the space you reclaim, the peace you protect, and the dignity you embody. Sometimes the most profound no is spoken without a single word. Silence, when carried with intention, does not only stop the noise of others, it begins to awaken the strength within yourself. Remember how we spoke about the silent stare? In many ways, choosing silence as your reply is its deeper companion. Epictetus once said, "If you wish to improve, be content to appear foolish and stupid in external matters. In silence, you may look passive on the surface, but beneath that stillness, you are reclaiming a piece of your freedom." Have you ever noticed how a single pause, A calm refusal to reply unsettles those who depend on your reaction for their sense of power. That is the quiet beauty of silence. It starves disrespect of the attention it craves. When you choose silence, you are, in truth, choosing yourself. You are declaring, I value my peace over your opinion of me. And that, my friend, is not weakness. It is revolutionary strength. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself again and again, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. Choosing silence is exactly that act of mastery. Instead of bending to provocation, instead of surrendering your energy to words unworthy of your breath, you reclaim your own mind and keep it intact. You are saying without speaking, you are not worth my words. Think of silence as a filter, a quiet shield that keeps your peace unbroken while the storm of negativity blows around you. The moment you release the need to answer every jab, every disguised insult, every half-hearted joke at your expense, you free yourself. You stop giving people access to your inner world, and instead, you begin to live on your own terms. Can you feel how liberating that could be, to let their words pass by like wind that never touches the ground of your soul? I will be honest with you. Learning this discipline was not easy for me. There was a time when I believed that if I did not defend myself, I would appear weak. I thought silence would make me look passive, like I had nothing to say. But then I began to notice something every time I replied to disrespect, every time I tried to explain myself to someone who was not listening with respect. I ended up drained, heavy, and frustrated. Yet when I stayed silent, when I let their words fade into the background like white noise, I walked away lighter, calmer, more in control. Each pause became a small act of reclaiming my power. So here is my invitation to you. The next time someone disrespects you, just pause, take a deep breath, look them calmly in the eye, and say nothing. Let your silence be the voice. Let them struggle with the weight of their own behavior. You might be surprised by how uncomfortable they become, and more importantly, by how free you feel. Seneca wrote, "We suffer more often in imagination than in reality." By saying nothing, you refuse to feed the imagination of disrespect, and instead you strengthen the reality of your peace. Embrace silence as your answer, because sometimes the most powerful statement you can make is the one left unspoken. And now, let us move to another challenge that touches many hearts: the need to stop explaining your choices. How many times have you made a decision for your life, your growth, your happiness, only to have someone immediately demand, "Why did you do that? Why didn't you choose differently? Why didn't you take the safer path?" People act as though they are entitled to a breakdown of your life, as though your choices must be defended like arguments in a courtroom. But the truth is simple. Your choices are your own. You do not owe anyone an explanation. It may sound controversial, but think carefully. When someone questions your decisions, are they truly seeking to understand? Or are they looking to judge, to poke holes, to feed their own comfort by shaking your confidence? Epictetus was blunt about this. If you want to improve, be content with being thought foolish and stupid. In other words, stop wasting your energy proving your worth to those who do not respect it. When you stop explaining, you reclaim your autonomy. You remind yourself and them that your life is not up for debate. Why do people press so hard for explanations? Often it is because your courage exposes their fear. Perhaps you are taking a risk they are too afraid to face. Perhaps you are stepping beyond the norm that keeps them feeling safe. Your independence threatens their comfort, so they ask you to explain to pull you back into their world, to make your boldness smaller so they can remain undisturbed. But here's the Stoic truth. Their discomfort is not your responsibility. Your life is not a public service announcement. Marcus Aurelius urged himself, "It is not the actions of others which trouble us, but our own judgments about them." Their unease is their judgment, not your burden. I remember a moment in my own life when I chose a different path. I left behind a safe position, the predictable kind of work that pleased others but left me empty, and I pursued something I truly cared about. The reaction was as though I had announced a journey to another planet. Questions rained down. Why leave stability? How will you survive? What if it fails? At first, I tried to explain to justify with passion, with strategy, with plans carefully laid out. Yet the more I explained, the more they asked, and the more they doubted. With every justification, I felt smaller, as though my life was theirs to dissect. And then, one day, I tried something new. When someone asked, "Why would you leave that job?" I simply answered, "Because I wanted to." Nothing more. No justification. No breakdown of strategy. Just 5 simple words. And in the silence that followed, I felt a wave of freedom. The power was no longer in their hands. It was in mine. That, my friend, is the real beauty of not explaining yourself. It is liberation. It is standing firmly in your own truth, knowing that your choices are enough simply because they are yours. Seneca reminded us, life is long if you know how to use it. Explaining endlessly to others wastes that life. When you stop justifying, you free energy to live authentically, to pour your time into being, not proving. Consider this. When was the last time you saw a truly confident person break down every choice for the approval of others? Almost never. Those who own their lives know that the only approval that matters is their own. They live by the inner compass of reason, not by the shifting judgments of the crowd. And you can do the same. I, too, once offered long explanations, like giving a presentation for my own existence, hoping others would nod in agreement. But slowly, I learned. And each time I resisted the urge to explain, my confidence grew. My peace expanded. So here is my quiet challenge to you. The next time someone questions your choices, resist the urge to justify. Instead, answer simply, "Because I wanted to. Because it felt right for me." And then let the silence carry your truth. Watch how powerful that stillness can be. You will feel stronger, lighter, and more at peace. And most of all, you will realize that your life does not require anyone else's stamp of approval. It is valid, fully valid, simply because you chose it. The moment you stopped explaining your choices, you likely felt the first taste of true freedom, and that same clarity leads us into another practice just as vital: knowing when to keep your distance. Epictetus once reminded his students, "Keep company only with people who uplift you, whose presence calls forth your best." Have you ever noticed how being around certain people leaves you lighter, while others drain you as if they've taken something essential from within? That contrast is no accident, and recognizing it is the beginning of wisdom. Sometimes the healthiest way to deal with disrespect is not with confrontation, but with space. It may sound harsh, maybe even cold, but the truth is simple. Not everyone deserves a front row seat in your life. Marcus Aurelius counseled himself, "The tranquility that comes when you stop caring what they say, or think, or do, only what you do." And one of the ways to secure that tranquility is to choose carefully where you place your time and energy. Creating distance is not about hatred, nor about ignoring people. It is about honoring your own energy enough to protect it. Imagine your life as a quiet garden, cultivated with care. Not everyone should have the keys to walk its paths. If someone repeatedly tramples your boundaries, belittles your worth, or radiates constant negativity, why allow them such access? You know, it is not only acceptable to step back, it is essential. Distance clears the fog of emotional manipulation and dissolves the guilt that often binds us to unhealthy ties. Have you ever felt as though keeping such people close is like giving them an endless buffet of your mind and emotions, where they consume and criticize as they please? No wonder we feel anxious, frustrated, even diminished. Choosing distance is an act of self-preservation, a declaration that your inner peace is sacred. Seneca once observed, "Associate with people who are likely to improve you. Welcome those whom you are capable of improving." When you let go of those who consistently disrespect you, you create space for healthier bonds. I recall a time when someone I called a friend constantly undermined me. Small jokes at my expense, subtle jabs about my choices, even mocking my taste in music. At first I brushed it off. I thought, that's just their nature. Maybe I'm too sensitive. But over time, those little cuts began to sting more deeply. I noticed I was walking on eggshells, bracing myself for the next remark, never at ease. And then something shifted. I did not call them out dramatically. I simply chose to limit my time with them. Where once we met weekly, I reduced it to monthly. And in that space, I felt lighter, freer. My mind cleared enough to see the truth. This bond was not nourishing but draining. That realization gave me permission to seek friendships that uplifted me instead of tearing me down. Of course, you may hear voices insisting that keeping your distance is selfish, that family, longtime friends, or loyal ties must always be maintained, regardless of cost. But tell me, at what cost? Marcus Aurelius asked himself. Why should anyone be disturbed by what anyone else says or does? Only what you do, that is in your power. Protecting your peace is not selfish. It is necessary. You are not here to serve as an emotional punching bag or to validate someone else endlessly. Sometimes the most honest way to declare enough is to quietly step back. And here lies the deeper lesson. Distance is not rejection, it is remembrance. It is remembering that you are your own priority, that your mind, time, and emotions belong first to you. You owe no one unlimited access to your inner world. Every boundary you draw is a testament to self-respect. Epictetus warned, if you want to be unassailable, then do not engage in arguments with anyone, nor make yourself a party to quarrels. Keeping your distance is precisely this wisdom in practice. Have you ever noticed how, when you surround yourself with those who respect you, confidence seems to flow more naturally? The less time you spend with those who belittle you, the less space they have to influence your spirit. I used to feel immense guilt for withdrawing from relationships that weighed me down. Thoughts nagged. What if they think I don't care? Am I overreacting? But gradually, I learned that distance was not about pushing people away. It was about creating room for growth. Each step back opened new space for joy, energy, and clarity. The guilt faded, replaced by a profound freedom. So here is my gentle challenge to you. Think of those in your life who repeatedly cross your boundaries, who make you feel smaller, who leave you drained. Then ask yourself, do they truly deserve this much access to you? Just pause, breathe, and let that question sink in. The answer you hear within may surprise you. And as we turn now to another timeless practice, remember this. Distance guards your peace, but posture declares your strength. One of the simplest yet most profound ways to face disrespect is to hold your head high. It may sound like common advice, almost too simple, but in truth it is gold. A practice rooted in dignity and in the very essence of Stoicism. When you stand tall, when your gaze lifts calmly, you send a message without speaking. I know who I am, and nothing you say or do can make me less. And so, as we spoke of the quiet strength of keeping distance, there comes a final reminder, one that shines through the way you carry yourself. Holding your head high. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one." And in the simple act of standing tall, of lifting your gaze with calm confidence, you embody what words alone could never say. Have you ever noticed how true confidence unsettles those who rely on disrespect to feel powerful? It disrupts their illusion because their control rests on your reaction. When you refuse to bow your head, when you stand steady and refuse to let their words touch you, you show them clearly, you have no power here. That realization throws them off balance because the strength they sought to borrow from you is no longer available. I remember a time when someone seemed to delight in small insults, smirks disguised as jokes, each encounter designed to diminish me. At first, I brushed it off, but slowly the weight built. I felt dread rising each time I saw them, bracing for the next cut. And then, I decided I would not shrink anymore. I walked into the room, shoulders back, head high, meeting their gaze with a quiet smile, carrying on as though their barbs never reached me. And what happened? Their power faded. Their smirks lost their sting. They realized their comments could not pierce my composure. There is something magnetic in standing tall, as if an unseen shield surrounds you, whispering, "I am untouchable." Of course, many who thrive on disrespect despise this kind of quiet strength. They want you small, apologetic, questioning yourself. They crave the sense that their words can bend your spirit. But when you remain upright, calm, and unbothered, you remind them of a truth they resist, that your worth is not theirs to give or take. Seneca observed, "It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more that is poor." Those who insult are craving control, and by holding your head high, you deny them that poverty. And here lies the deeper lesson. Holding your head high is not about them. It is not a challenge to their game. It is a declaration to yourself. It is living each moment as if you are fully aware of your worth, as if you have nothing to prove. What if you chose to walk into every space with that quiet certainty that you belong, that you are enough? Over time, this posture becomes more than physical. It becomes mental, emotional, spiritual. You begin to notice that disrespect no longer registers in the same way. You are too busy walking in your own lane, too secure in who you are to be bothered by petty attempts to drag you down. This did not come naturally for me. I was once the one who slouched, who lowered my eyes, who tried to disappear when confronted by criticism. It felt safer that way. But then I realized each time I stood tall, each time I refused to let negativity seep into my soul, I grew stronger. Each moment was a reminder that I did not need anyone's approval to feel worthy. My worth was already within me. Epictetus said it clearly, "No man is free who is not master of himself." And holding your head high is one way to practice this mastery every day. So here is my challenge to you. The next time someone tries to belittle you, whether through a subtle dig or a direct insult, pause, breathe, lift your head, straighten your shoulders, and meet their eyes calmly, as if to say, "I see you, but I rise above this." Feel the confidence surge through you, the peace that comes when you recognize their words have no power over your essence. Because holding your head high is not just posture, it is a silent proclamation of self-respect. I know who I am. I value who I am. And nothing you say can change that. And as we close, remember this. Respect begins with you. The more deeply you cultivate self-respect, the less space there is for the disrespect of others to cling. Life is too short to spend bending under the weight of those who cannot see your value. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself, "It is not death that a man should fear, but he should fear never beginning to live." Live it upright, with calm confidence, protecting your peace, and walking firmly on your own path. So, let me leave you with this final encouragement. Stand tall. Embrace silence when it serves you. Guard your energy with distance when needed. And never apologize for stepping away from what diminishes your spirit. These are not acts of rebellion. They are acts of harmony, of choosing to live as the Stoics taught, calm, courageous, and free. If this message has touched you, I invite you to give this video a like. It helps spread Stoic wisdom to those who may need it. Subscribe to the Stoic Room so you can walk with us on this journey of inner strength and clarity. And if you want to go deeper, explore the playlist Stoic Wisdom, Mastering Emotions and Inner Strength, a collection crafted to guide you further into these timeless practices. Before you go, just pause, breathe, and carry this thought with you. You are stronger, calmer, and more unshakable than the world would have you believe. As Seneca said, "He who has great power should use it lightly." Use your power with calm restraint, and you will find peace that no insult can touch. Until next time, take care, stay steady,